So the farm has been in my family since the 1800s, and after a couple generations, I'm actually the fourth generation now. When we received the farm, it was pretty much abandoned. There was an old brick house that my grandfather had here, a couple old abandoned coffee plants, and just forest trees. When we got the farm with my mom, we went through a big change in our lives, and we came to live to Guatemala on the farm, and we didn't know anything about farming. And my mom was an architect, and she didn't know anything about farming. But the only thing we had was the farm, so we had to make it work, you know. So there was nothing here. It was abandoned, and I was 10 years old when we came, and we had no car. We didn't know how to get here, and yeah, it's that like that struggle for survival, you know, and figuring out how you can do it, and where is your strength, you know, and what you have in hand that you can live off of. So here at the farm, we had fortunately lots of forests, so we dived into that because it's an income we could have, and we got licensed, we got everything by the book done, and that was our source of income in the beginning. And then, like I mentioned, we got into cattle, and my mom didn't know anything about that, you know. So, and I was pretty young still. I couldn't actually do that much, you know. I was very young, and my mom somehow figured out a way to deal with me as a kid, find a way to get a source of income where something was abandoned and not working, and believe in herself and forget about the trauma we had gone through, and yeah, fight through it. She, in my eyes, became like a superhero, you know.
I like to tell the story that your mom used to tell, that when you then finally got a truck, your first truck, because they didn't have a car for a long time, and they got a first truck, and they would move the coffee that they picked here at the farm to the next mill, right? That was in Antigua, right? And they had a flat tire, and it was like in the middle of the night, and you struggled there. And he was like, but we did it, and we called somebody to help us out, like at midnight or 2 in the morning. So he was 14 or so, and yeah, she was, as I said before, she was the cutest person ever, but she was a badass. She was doing it, and I think that's something you inherited for her.
We didn't have that much workers here at the farm, and I was still young, and she figured out a way after picking to load the truck first of all, and then tied those bags of coffee to the truck, and we would leave late at night, and yeah, that night our tire popped, and she didn't know how to change a tire, and I was too little to change it. But I remember specifically jumping on the thing that takes off the screws of the car, and it was the middle of the night. I didn't know I was gonna tell that story.
So I remember there was the old patio that you still saw with the naturals there. That was the only patio that was ever there, and Nico had a hand depoper where he would depope the coffee like by hand on top of a trunk of tree, like an old tree trunk, and then he would just try like washing it and trying it himself, and then he had the dream of doing the wet mill. And as I said before, like whatever he wanted to do, whatever vision he had, he would do it.
If we look at coffee harvest, it starts in December and ends in March, April. So I went through that harvest 2011, 2012, and I finished harvesting our coffees. And it wasn't that much. We produced maybe like 50 bags of coffee, which was very, very small amount. But by then I had already worked at a company where I learned how to process coffees. I was learning more about exportation, about quality and all that. So that was the year where I realized, well, I actually got something here. You know, how can I work on it? How can I get better with it and improve it? And that was finishing harvest in April. I decided not to sell the coffee right away. I kept the coffee and I learned about the competition, and I said, well, it's tasting pretty good in my perspective, so why don't we just join? And I decided to join that competition right away, like in May and June. In Cup of Excellence, you can put up to 9 bags, up to 50 bags of coffee. But I only put like 10 bags to see if I would make it. So I put 10 bags, we won. I met Andy and he said, I'll buy the rest. So he bought the rest of that lot of Cup of Excellence. That's how the relationship started. He was a judge at Cup of Excellence, and he was standing in the back just watching everybody, and I'm also a little bit more shy, and I was just standing and watching everybody have conversations, and then we just ended up standing next to each other and said hi. And then yeah, we had a conversation. Yeah, I'm a roaster, I'm a producer, and that's how it just came. So
what connected you and Andy so much also was that they were both like quite starting that whole business, and they had big dreams of it, right? And they saw potential in growing with each other by supporting each other, by working together as direct trade, and it worked out. It was definitely something that was a long-term relationship, and it worked on both sides.
So Cup of Excellence ended. I met Andy, he bought the coffee. We exported for the first time coffee from the farm. It was the first year I processed coffee individually from the farm. The first year I competed, the year I met Andy in September, and then I met Angie in December that year. So it was a great year. Here at the farm we have what we call permanent workers and temporary workers. Our permanent workers, they have a fixed salary, and they live in around the farm, like in the village around the farm. But the temporary workers are people that come and work per month, and they stay here at the farm. So we provide housing and food for them, and they work here for approximately a month, and then they go back home. And if they want, they come back. When these temporary workers come, we receive not only the dad or the mom, but we invite them also to bring their whole family, so they're not separated, first of all. And so they all come together, mom, dad, and kids. And when they come, we make like an information sheet for them, where how old they are, what education the kids have. We check and see if they're healthy, and if they need something health-wise, we bring in a doctor to see if they need something, so that when they're here, they're healthy and they're in peace, right? The kids the next day enter the school, and according to where their education level is, they go with the teacher, and the teacher assigns them where they have to begin for the month or the 2 months they're staying.
You have to meet the kids where they were, right? And that's something that we're really grateful for the teacher, that she's so hands-on on meeting them at where they're standing, right? And also I think one big pillar is also the greenhouse that we put next to the school, where the kids just learn how to grow their own vegetables, to be able to see, okay, a cabbage needs this and that, and a tomato needs this and that. And when they actually harvest it, to eat it and feel that proud of themselves, right? That they harvested it and they grew it. And the idea behind that was also that when they leave back home to their community back home, that they can take that there and say, hey, I know how to grow vegetables, and I will do that now maybe for my own business, or just to sustain my own family, right? So to leave a little spark in them of how to take care of yourself, right?
There's lots of, like I mentioned before, hands that go through coffee, like from picking until exporting, which is our end. So somebody picks the coffee, somebody transports the coffee, somebody processes the coffee, transports it again, processes it again, quality control all through it, and then export. So there's a big line of people that help you pick that bean of coffee and put it in somebody's cup. And on our end, at our farm, I consider that none of what we do here would be able to happen if we didn't have a team and a family. And I believe and trust in everybody that works here at the farm, and they believe in me that I'm making the right decisions. So I think that good communication, that teamwork is very important. We have 25 permanent workers and we have up to 150 temporary workers. So that's over almost 200 people working here at the farm. And if we don't make a good decision, that can not be good for 150 families, you know. So I think one of the proudest things for us is being able to get jobs to all these people. We could have sold this farm, you know. There was a point where my mom was like, why are we doing this? We can just sell it and live off the money. We consider everybody here at the farm family, so we treat them as such, and we want everybody hopefully to work here as long as they can or they want to, and that they enjoy actually what they're doing, and that they feel safe, that they're healthy, yeah, and that everybody hopefully finds as much passion as we have for coffee.